Yesterday, Sunderland sacked their head coach for the second time this season.
Michael Beale only took over from Tony Mowbray in December, but after 4 wins in 12 matches in all competitions, his time at the Stadium of Light has now come to an end.
We get reaction now from two-time Sunderland Player of the Year, current under-16 coach, as well as matchday co-commentator Danny Collins. Danny, good morning to you. First of all, how surprised were you to see Beale go so soon after his appointment?
Yeah, I think obviously when he came in December there, it was a tough time over the Christmas period. The fact that he doesn't get too much time to work with the players out on the training ground. It was game after game. It's a busy period. Wasn't quite going to plan. And then it's settled in over the last few weeks, hasn't it, where he's had time to work with the players on the grass, get his points across. But results have been mixed. I think when he was appointed, it was a difficult spell for him coming off the back of Tony, who's done well for the last couple of seasons for us. The football we were playing, it was excellent. And yeah, ultimately it comes down to results, and he's had a difficult spell, and that's cost him his job at the end of the day.
Danny, you say he had a tough time when he came in and he was an unpopular choice with the fans straight away. How difficult did that make his job as well, not having the support of the fans?
Yeah, I think he was always up against it. I think at the end of the day, for me, it comes down to results, doesn't it? To get the fans on side, to win them over in a way, really. And it wasn't to be. I think he's picked up, four wins in those 13 games or so. So it's been difficult. Obviously, we had the derby against the local rivals, Newcastle. Got beat 3-0 at home in that one. And then he said himself, I think it was a difficult spell because it was game after game, over Christmas, where he wasn't having time to get his points across to the players. Well, he's had that over the last 3-4 weeks, really, where we haven't had too many midweek games. But this week, we've had a 3-game week. We got off to a good start against Plymouth. Probably the second 45 minutes was the best we've played under him. And then we had 2 away fixtures against sides struggling down the other end of the table in Huddersfield. We went down there, wasn't a great performance, got beat 1-0. And then Saturday away at Birmingham, obviously under Tony Mowbray, former manager. And we came up short at Birmingham as well. So it's been a difficult week, a disappointing week. We obviously had the incident on the touchline as well with Trey Hume when he came off. And, did he blank him? Did he not? Only he knows, I guess. But all these little things come into play, I guess. And as I say, ultimately, he's out of the door and lost his job.
And when people say, well, why was he appointed in the first place? Some people might criticise the board for making that decision. But do the board at least deserve some praise for accepting they've made a mistake and acting so quickly? Because they could have waited till the end of the season. They could have even given him the very start of next season and potentially writing next season off too.
Yeah, possibly. But it's a difficult one because you look at the situation. We've got 13 games left. We're still in a good position. 4 points off the playoffs. I know 1 or 2 teams have got a game in hand, but we're still right in amongst it. And I think if you look at, the top 4 where they are now, the 3 sides that came down last season, they're fighting it out for the top 2 places. Ipswich, credit to them, they've staying in there. They've got back on it after a difficult spell. But from West Brom down to maybe Middlesbrough, I think down in 14th, it's all to play for 8-9 teams there competing for those last 2 places for the playoffs. So I wouldn't give up on the season. We're still in a good position. Yes, form and results have obviously dipped, but we're still right in amongst it. Now, obviously, Mike Dodds is going to take over now between now and the end of the season. He knows the players really well. He's been around the club since 2021. I think he does a lot. He's hands-on the training pitch anyway. So, yeah, he's straight back in there. He had a little spell, obviously, before Michael Beale was appointed. He picked up a couple of good results against West Brom and Leeds. And, well, we've still got a lot of top teams to play. Got to go to Leeds as well. Leicester have got to come here. Southampton we've got to go to. So we've got some tough fixtures. But when Sunderland are at it and they've some talent in the squad, they're more than capable of getting results against these sides.
You mentioned interim head coach Mike Dodds, Danny. What is his priority? What does he urgently need to do between now and the summer?
Well, just get us back on track, get us back to winning ways and get on a little bit of a run. I think what most of those sides I've just mentioned there, where there's several sides competing for the automatic place, for the playoff places, just get on a run, a bit of consistency, chalk up a few wins, maybe a couple of draws here and there, but, cut out the defeats. We've had far too many defeats so far, but we're still in a good position, as I've mentioned there. And just, it's an old saying, isn't it? Get back to basics on the training ground, get back to what we were doing well. I think playing with a little bit more tempo, passing forward a little bit quicker. We have a lot of possession at times, but sometimes It's just having possession, not getting anywhere with it, creating more opportunities. Bodies in the box. Can we get the centre forward scoring? Rusyn's got 2 goals. Mason Burstow's got 1. And for a team who are looking to get into the playoffs, into the promotion, it's not enough for centre forward. So they need to start scoring between now and the end of the season. And can Mike Dodds get his ideas and implement his ideas into the boys on the training pitch? And can we see it on a Saturday afternoon?
In Lee Johnson, Sunderland appointed head coach, who had played attacking football. Then in Alex Neil, it was a playoff specialist who did a brilliant job in his short time in charge. Tony Mowbray was seen as a safe pair of hands. Then Michael Beale has just gone now. What type of head coach does Sunderland need to appoint for next season, whether that's Mike Dodds or someone else?
Yeah, that's a good question. I think obviously the 1 or 2 names were getting thrown about before Michael Beale came in December. Whether they go back to that list and have availability and take one or 2 of those options in and try and get someone in. But from my point of view, I think, if Mike Dodds does well between now and the end of the season, will he fancy putting his name in the hat? Or do they go and get someone in, get them penned in, ready to go in June when pre-season comes around? So he's got a full pre-season to work with the players, get 1 or 2 of his own players in as well. Because, let's face it, we've got some good talent at the club. So you'd expect the likes of Jack Clark, Dan Neil, Dan Ballard, 1 or 2 others. Maybe other clubs will be having a look at them. So if they do go, do the funds then come into to go into the squad to rebuild and look at pushing on again next season if we fall short this season? And I think it's difficult because you mentioned Tony Mowbray there, and obviously some of the football we played under Tony over the last 2 years has been fantastic. Going back to my playing days, we were more standard 4-4-2 back in the day, but got the job done. Whereas over the last couple of seasons, some of the football that's been played and the goals that they scored under Tony were fantastic. And that's the type of football that, the Sunderland fans, 40,000 plus at the stadium, want to come and see every Saturday afternoon.
Yeah, Danny, well, you said we've still got a chance of the playoffs, and I was very, very happy to hear that. We'll keep everything crossed. Great to see you, Danny. Thanks for coming on.
All right. Cheers, Tom. Cheers, Alex.